The final aspect of gaining entry is at some point you're going to have to negotiate the contract, or in less formal terms, a working agreement. And not all of these things are in writing, but you have to come to some understanding. First and foremost for me, what's critical is confidentiality. I work this in, and I want the coaches to know that what I share with an athlete, what an athlete shares with me, our interactions are between us, and that information is going to stay there unless I get the athlete's permission. Now, in the area that I work in, I would say 95% of the time, if I ask the athlete, can I share this with the coach? They say certainly, no problem. We're not talking about deep psychological material here. We're talking about performance-related issues that come up. Second thing that I want to try to get clear, what are the limits of my service? What are their expectations? What do they want from me? What are they looking for? Because there are certain things I'm able to do, and there's other things that I have to make referrals. Like if clinical issues come up, such as eating disorders, drug-related issues, maybe gambling issues, these are things that I have to refer to the counseling center or counselors that I know in the area. Another thing that I try to work out is, how am I going to be evaluated? Okay, if this is what you want, how are you going to evaluate me in terms of that? And this is something I have found that's been very difficult, because sometimes, number one, they're not sure what they want. They just think they want some type of sports psych program. But evaluation, that's a whole nother level, and we'll be talking about that later in the program. Another issue, team selection. This is an ethical issue for us as sports psych consultants. And where it's an ethical issue is, if you're going to have input on team selection, and this is more of an issue I find with Olympic teams, professional teams, then you've got to let the athletes that you're working with know that you're involved in that selection process. If you don't, I believe that's unethical, because what they share with you may be a little different if they know you're involved in that process. Another thing I'm trying to get in the initial working agreement is, how much support can I get from that team, from the organization, from the coaches, from the support people? And some of this support is in very subtle ways. I remember one coach, I'd be talking to the team, he would be walking in and out of the office with his cell phone dealing with the calls. That's sending a message to the players, a nonverbal message that call's more important than what Ken's talking about. I talked to that coach after that meeting and said, you're wasting your money if you're doing that. I had another coach sit there in a meeting when I was presenting, and she was there, but she was just writing out her to-do list the whole time. And the players could see that. It was like a token show of support. I want the coach to be there. I want the coach asking questions. I want the coach's involvement. I may not get that, but I know at least that I tried, and I'm going to work in the context of that situation with that type of support that I'm getting from the coach. Another thing that comes up that we have to talk about is, what's the financial arrangement in terms of finances for the services that I'm provided? And closely associated with that, it's going to be the length of time of the contract. How long is it going to go for? What are their expectations? And also in some sports, there's a periodization that goes with it. And what I mean by that, certain stages of the season, you're going to get more time and access with the team. Like in the NFL, you get a lot of access to the team in the winter and spring. Once those players come in and they're in preseason and the games start, your time is very limited with the coaches. And if you can understand that and get some of this stuff cleared up in your working relationship, it's helpful. And the final thing, and this is just something that I have found over the years, has really been an issue for me, are things like, at times, should I call the coach? Should I call him or her at home? Do they want to talk after the game? Do they need some time? A lot of these questions now, I just sit down with the coaches and I go, hey, what do you want me to do here? What do you want me to do there? If you're not returning my call, do you want me to call again? Would you rather I didn't? It just reduces my stress, and it's most helpful to make an effective working relationship, but most importantly, to help reduce some of my stress in doing this work.